Oh, good evening. The Who's today were on at Randwick. It was the last day of the carnival, and we there was a really good roll up, a big crowd, and there wasn't a great amount of section there, but by the same token, there were plenty of people um, having bets, so it was good to see. Now, the today the track was given out dead. It was upgraded to good after race 3, and the rail was 6 metres out, and there was a light breeze early on the day, picked up a little bit uh, by race 6 or even race 5. It was a nor'easterly, and but it didn't have any effect on the races. It wasn't strong enough to knock any leaders out coming down the side, and the track played very fair. Now, the first race, there was 102 and a half on the screen, and that was about the same in the marketplace. A little bit of difference with the Avery. The best luck was $1.70. Well, you could get $1.75 if you shopped about on the rails. And as I say, it was only a little bit of difference, but it all counts. And it was a replica of its last win here, Toy Dini, to the turn, that is. The difference being, of course, it was a heavy track last start, and it settled back in second last position. It came down the side exactly like it did when it won. It strolled in last time. It came around the turn, but instead of just being able to roll up to the leaders topping the rise, where it which it did the start previous when it trotted in, it couldn't get up to the leaders, and those who laid the odds on, they knew they were in a bit of trouble. So and it couldn't even hold off the horse who was behind it, Kingdoms. It finished up coming down the outside and knocking it out of third position. So its run was, I suppose, fairly ordinary. Bold Blake Shin saying that it might have failed to run the 2,000 metres out. The winner, the New Zealander, Sanity, it got a charm run behind the leader on the fence. Leading was Laser Flash, and it got inside that runner after they topped the rise, and only just held on and beat Honorius, who looks like it might have found its form now. It ran on from along the fence to about third last position, only failing by that margin, about 0.2 of a length. The favourite, unfortunately, a bit disappointing for the Grumble and Grunters. Race 2, they said there was 108.4 on the screen. There was only about 101, a good 7% less in the marketplace. You can see, well, straight away, Catkins, there was a mile of $5.50 Catkins. So there's 2%. And there were quite a few of the roughies which were longer than you actually saw on the screen. So there's about a good 7% difference there. And this winner, Missy Cummings, it was extremely well backed. I think it's been returned $26, but it took out a good bit of section with me at $26. And its last 2 wins, it's only appeared to have beaten ordinary horses and had every possible chance at both starts up at Wyong, but it repeated the performance today. It had barrier 1. It sat back in about 6th position on the fence. When they turned for home, proper Peter Roble, he just eased off heels and got a middle split, and it darted through like it did at Wyong, and it went away and won. It won by 1.3 lengths. It came from well, Catkins was actually in front of it. It finished up running second, and Medusa's Miss, it was back in the field on the fence, and it came through along the fence as well, getting around a couple of runners' heels and getting into third hole, and down the outside finishing very well was Amarachi into 4th position. The favourite, Dre Fontaine, it was just behind around about what was out on the outside of the winner, and it seemed to have every possible chance. It was the best backed in the race, as much as $4.80 bet, and it only started a $4 chance fairly hard to get. It started 3-1, but as I say, the figures were a little bit less than what you saw on the screen, and the winner was most probably as good a run as anything else in the race. Most probably Barrier 1 helped. The third race, 105 on the screen and 4% less in the marketplace. What do we say here? Well, the difference, I suppose, in the marketplace was, well, number 2, Xanadu. Well, there was plenty of $5 about it. I think it was a little bit less on the Fluck, and a few of the others to make up the difference of 4%. But this winner, Sky Rush, bookies, it went up the $3 favourite, and bookies reached for it very quickly. It got out to as well as the second pick, Xanadu. Both reached for the winner. Sky Rush was $3, a 2-to-1 chance, out to $3.80 starting that price, and well backed all the way out. The captains wanted to lay it, and Xanadu also wanted to say, yeah, well, you can be on this with us. $4, a 3-to-1 chance, out to $5, but back into about $4.60 when they jumped. Excuse me. No, it got back in the field, and it ran a good race. It had to shoulder its way clear. When it did, it hit the line very well. It missed the place. It finished up running 5th, but the winner, it was in front of the New Zealander Xanadu, and when they turned for home, it was travelling very, very sweetly. He had plenty of horse underneath him, Bold Blake Shin, and he was racing tight in between runners. But when he was able to get the mare's neck through the gap, she sprinted far too well. She's got a real good turn of foot, proving that the last win there was no fluke. And when she got through the gap, she went away and won by 1 1/4 lengths. Her run was most probably the best in the race. It got trapped 3 wide in the run. Raspberries was very well backed, as much as $8.50 given, was $7 hard to get at the finish. But as I say, even though the winner got out in the market, it was extremely well backed on the way out. Bookies saying you can be on it with us. Every time you bet, the punters wanted to be on it. As soon as they walked away, the price got extended. Race 4, there was 101.6 only on the screen, so obviously a bit less in the marketplace. Only about 2 less, about 99 we gave. And one of the, you can see straight away, which you wouldn't see on the screen, a little bit of difference. The best Fluck about the winner, Reliable Man, was $12, 11-to-1 chance. I saw as much as $15 on the fence, 14-to-1 given about the winner, and it was a very strong win. With 40 metres to go, it blundered, and horseman Huey Bowman didn't realise at the time that it had injured its tendon, and after they passed the winning post, he finished up dismounting and leading it back to the stalls, to the weigh-in area, and but even though it did injure its tendon, pulled up fairly lame, it managed to win this race by 2.5 lengths. It was given a cosy run, 3rd on the fence all the way. When they turned for home, Horseman Bowman, he was able to just ease off heels, get to the outside, finished in the middle of the track, and as I say, it strolled in by 2.5 lengths. Coming into this race, the favourite, It's a Done Deal. Everybody knew about the record of 3-year-olds in this race. It was not very good. Of course, the favourite was the only 3-year-old in the race, and unfortunately, that record is still very difficult for the 3-year-olds to greet the judge in this race, the Queen Elizabeth Stakes over the 2000. It was very similar to how Toydini, when it won last start, It's a Done Deal. It sat back in last position like it did when it trotted in their last start, when it won the Derby, turned for home, and of course, like Toydini, the sting wasn't out of the ground. It was a good track today, just on the worst side of good, I suppose. And when they turned for home, well, first of all, when they came to the barrier, I saw that it was wearing tapes. I suppose it might always wear them. I haven't really noticed. I don't, as you know, bookies can't get off and look at the horses, which is a shame. I'd like to get out and always have a look at the horses before they go onto the track, but that's not possible. But it did race with tapes on it today, and it seemed to be taking fairly short strides. Did it pull up a little bit lame, this favourite? I don't think so, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was a little bit affected. But as I say, it was deja vu in the Derby, settled back in last position when it had just strolled around much easier when it won the Derby, but it made a bit of a good sharp run coming down the side with a different rider on it today, of course, Michael Rod. And but when it didn't just roll up the rise, very similar to Toy Dean in the first, it was being pushed along to go up the rise, and it was very evident that it was going to struggle to win this race from that point on, and which proved to be the point or the case. And it went down by the 2.5 lengths, getting past Happy Trails, beating it by a half a length for that position. But the winner, even though it had a sore tendon, it was still able to win this race very easily. Now the betting in that race, the favourite, we put it up $1.40. We'll have your 5 for 2, but it was quickly laid on. The $1.30 never ever went off. I think it might be returned a bit shorter than that, but it was always was $1.40 into $1.30. And of course, if you gave them $1.40, you get whatever you wanted out. But it was fairly hard to lay at the $1.30. They take $1.35 and $1.40 off you, but $1.30, there was section about for at that price, but not as much naturally at the longer odds. And that's about all you would say there. A bit disappointing, the favourite. Race 5, they said there was 104.1 on the screen, and there was good 4 less in the marketplace, only about 100. And very quickly you can see that the favourite was one of those that was shorter on the fluck than what you could have got in the marketplace. The best fluck was $2.90 Guelph, but you could have had a mile of $3, and if you could have shopped it, you would have got $3.20 and $3.10 fairly easily. But as I say, a mile of $3. Best fluck was only $2.90. It did start only 6 to 4, the $2.50. They took even the 13 to 8 in the last part. The last part of the betting. And for those who backed the favourite, they were very not very confident when they topped the rise, because it settled down in about 4th last position. Guelph. Up front we had Fereza, ridden by the Pumper. He went straight to the lead, and when he hit the bend the first time, he said, well, come on, we'll just let you slide a little bit. And it slid a good 5 lengths in front, and then coming down the side, it could have been as much as 6 lengths in front. Held a good break even topping the rise, starting to take a few shorter strides. It's gone down by 0.1 of a length, and it took clever Karen McAvoy all of his weaving and strength and shouldering way clear on the favourite, Guelph, to just grab the 30 to 1 chance for Reza right on the line to win, as I say, by that 0.1, it's won by the nose, more or less margin. And chasing the favourite all the way was the 3rd horse, so it stuck on very well, and that was Ecuador. It would have been a good result for bookies, although it was $21 into about 19, but it was backed, and but the favourite by far the best backed runner in the race, $3.20 given, only started $2.50. The other big firmer in the race was Criterion, who settled down in last position, and it did make up plenty of ground right down the outside. It was only beaten about 2.1 lengths, making up plenty of ground, so its run was pretty good as well. But the winner, as I say, had to shoulder his way clear, and grab them on the line. It was a good run to run the leader down, because with the pumper up on board, he can rate them so well. He knows how the horse is travelling underneath him, and to catch it and not let him steal the race, I suppose the winner was a very good run, and that was about the race. Other runners in the market, Fast and Rocking, they said they were going to ride it closer, which they did today. It got well out of the market from $6 out to $8.50, and Scandiva, who finished second to Guelph's last start in the Sires, it was $6 out to a $9 chance at one stage, back into about $8.50. And there was a bit of section about for most of the other runners. Why wouldn't there be when we only give 100? But the favourite was well backed. Race 6, 103.3 in the screen, only a couple less in the marketplace, 101. And this was the Sydney Cup. The favourite, Collini, extremely well backed. $2.90, best price given. It did start $2.60, fairly hard to get. It was given every possible chance, I suppose, by the pumper. He was a little bit wide earlier on, but he slotted into a great position behind the pace in about 4th, 5th position. And it was under pressure when they got to the 700 metre mark, or 800 metre mark, when the pressure was really on. And it was, even though it never got beaten 3 lengths, but it was never going to win from that point on. Coming from more or less off its back, sitting on the fence early in the piece, but then getting off the fence and getting onto the favourites back, coming down the side, was the winner, Morayan, who was very disappointing last start, only plugged, but it was able to go out after Noisky, who had a good run. It sat behind the leader on the fence. Leading was Julian's, who pulled up with the thumps, unfortunately. It ran last, beat 11.9 lengths. It sat behind it on the fence, excuse me, and making a mid-race move was the bottom one, Macedonian, but it dropped off. Well, it stuck on pretty good. It only got beat about 3 lengths itself, but when they turned for home, Julian's was still leading when they topped the rise. It finished up getting a pass with Norsky, but down the outside came Maroyan with H. Bowman, Horseman Bowman on its back to get the cash. It was $10 out to $12 taken at one stage. Never saw 13. $12 taken one stage, back into $11, 10 to 1 chance, but got back out towards 12 towards the finish. It was very hard to lay Malucky Day. The rider saying it was very disappointing. We put it up a $4.20 chance, a 13 to 4 pop. It got out to $5.50 begging at the finish. As I say, there was only about 101. Every runner in the race was backed, and the winner, I suppose, was a good result for the captains. We got to race 7, and this was a plonk towards the finish. There was only one runner they wanted in the betting at the finish in this race, and that was the winner, All Too Hard, after $3.50 was given. These were the flux in this race. Rangi Rangdu went from 21 out to 31 into 26. Fiorente Gay's horse, the import, who was placed in the Melbourne Cup, it was 30 out to $60. It came from last, hitting the line very strongly. It looks like it'll be hard to beat in the spring. Then we had Rain Affair. It was 13 into 11, back out to $12. Rolling Pin was 200 into 150. Smoke and Joey was 70 out to 80, back to 70. More Joyous, we put her up a $2.70 chance. She got out to $3, but then she was into $2.60, liable at one stage of the betting, but she got back out to $3 towards the end of betting. And then we had All Too Hard, who we put up a $2.80 equal favour with More Joyous. Bookies reached for it, including myself, out to $3.50, but at the death, look, it might be returned shorter, but you could still get $2.90 on the fence when they jumped. And Epaulette, the 3-year-old, the other 3-year-old in the race, of course, besides the winner, All Too Hard, the two colts, there was $5 given about Epaulette, and it was sensationally backed at one stage into $4, got back out to $4.20, which was taken towards the death of betting, started $4. And there was a bit of buffeting when they jostled for positions after they got a couple of furlongs, 3 furlongs, and it copped a little bit of a Pratt epileptic to finish up getting on the back of All Too Hard. And when they topped the rise, it pulled out and looked like it was going to put him in a bit of a sprint up to come down the outside, but it didn't go on with it. It, as I say, it found the line the best fee around 8, but the winner, the 3-year-old All Too Hard, it found the line a bit too strong. The leader of the race, Rain Affair, it stuck on very well. He only caught it by a half a length. And More Joyous, well, she sat in 3rd position on the fence. Then Nash was able to get off turning for home. He didn't extend her in the last 150 metres when it was obvious that she couldn't win, and she put in a gallant run. That buffeting that she copped at Rose Hill last start, you never know, it might have had a little bit of an effect on her, but she seemed to have every possible chance. The good mare she is, but the winner, of course, was a very strong win. And then we came to the last, and there was 111.7 on the screen, and there was only about 5% less in the marketplace, about 106, and every runner in this race was backed. I noticed the bottom one in this race, Renewed Vitality, was only returned $26. There was a bit of a blue there. You could get $51 when they jumped on the fence. These were the flux in the last race. Without, I suppose we'll drive you mad, but I'll give them to you. That sounds stupid, but Fat Al went from 650 out to as much as 850. They returned at only 550. I was 650 when they jumped. Mana Wanui was $9 out to I Like a Fool gave as much as $15 about it. It started 13. Decision Time, well, they said the best luck was only $4.80. It was $5. But you get $5 where plenty of it. It was $4.20 out to $5. Firebolt went from 26 to 31. Master Harry was 26 out to 31. Skytrain was $13 out to 17, back into 15. Title was 21 into about $16. Rarefied the winner, $7.50 out to 9, back into they say $8, but it was started $9. See the World, who just about should have won the race if he would have been able to get a clear run in the straight and not have to ease around heels. It would have got the biscuits, not by very far, but it would have won. And its fluctuations were $7 out to as much as $11. See the World. Bowl Glance was 20 out to 30. Something Anypin was $9 out to $11. Back into $8.50, but back out to 10 towards the finish. Distinction was 26 to 41. Soft Sand was $8 out to as much as 13, back into 10. Stratana was 30 out to 51, and the bottom one, as I say, Renewed Vitality, was 31 out to 41, taken into, no, the 41 never went off, and you could get 51 when they jumped. And all the three place getters in this race all sort of came along the fence. There were quite a few runners that got trapped wide in the run here. Number 1, Fat Al, after missing a kick, was one of them. It sat 3 wide outside the leaders. It led, setting a fairly fast pace coming from the extreme outside alley. Title, sitting on its outside, was Master Harry, having his first start for Quinton. And outside, as I say, was Fat Al. And the winner, it was sort of behind them, rarefied towards the fence, got around heels when they turned for home, and they got a good run through. The second horse, it was tied up against the fence, the stablemate, Skytrain, and it more or less had its chance. And as I say, and coming through, tailing Skytrain through and having to ease off heels in the last half furlong was the third horse. They got away from the others. It was 2.5 lengths away to the leader, which finished up running 4th, Title. And it had to, there was no room for it on the fence, See the World, and it had to ease around heels, and it only went down by 0.4 of a length. The margin was 0.3 by 0.4. If it would have got that split it when he wanted it, horseman, no, who rode to See the World? S. Arnold. It most probably would have got the bickies. But as I say, in that last race, I haven't dissected it yet. There were quite a few runners that were trapped wide in the run. But the first three, by the same token, did get away from the others. Well, that was about the meeting. If you were a bookie, if you're a captain, I hope you won. The captains, I think, did get a finish on the right side of the ledger. We wore the grumble and grunners down at the finish, but if you were grumble and grunting out there, I hope you had a winning day. Good health, everybody. Good evening.